the training designed to prepare you for taking your state exam doesn't necessarily train you to be successful in real estate. Nor could it. A 2-week course, or in Washington it's a 90-hour course, in no way can prepare you for the complexities of taking people through one of the most challenging, financially impactful, and emotional processes of their life, buying a home. As a matter of fact, researchers have listed moving as one of the top 5 stressors that people deal with in their lives. So the skill set that it takes to successfully navigate people through that process, and by the way, given that you'll be navigating the people through the process, who do you think they express their frustrations or upsets to? Yeah, you. They'll express it to you. The crux of their frustration will be directed at you. The sort of juxtaposition about that is the fact that the best real estate agents, those who perform the best, are generally people who care the most about their clients. And so it's this double-edged sword. The best real estate agents are the ones that care the most about their clients and care the most about achieving their outcome, but then they also internalize and they feel deeply. And so the burnout rate, according to the National Association of Realtors, the burnout rate for first-year real estate agents is over 60%. In 5 years, 87%. 87%. Here's the thing. Our education system, like what you and I have experienced, wasn't created to teach us how to be leaders, wasn't created to teach us how to be entrepreneurs. Our education system was designed to teach us how to be employees. As a matter of fact, Robert Kiyosaki asked his father, who's a PhD, he actually was in charge of programming for the school system, asked him, Dad, why don't the school systems teach us about how to manage and invest money? Why doesn't the school systems teach us how to plan for our retirement? Why don't they teach us about taxes? And he said, son, the government won't allow us to include that kind of programming in our education system. What it's going to take in terms of succeeding in real estate is, number one, 80% of it is your mindset. 80% of your mindset, 20% mechanics, right? And unfortunately, for most of us, Harley being an exception, the school system is designed to teach us how to be good employees. So if you bring that mindset, the employee mindset, the habits you learn from our school system, from our education system, the conditioning we receive, you bring those habits and those disciplines into your career in real estate, you're likely going to be one of the 62% that fail in your first year, or 87% that end up burning out within 5 years. That's going to be your single greatest asset, is being in an environment that actually teaches you hands-on the skill sets that it takes to actually succeed in real estate. And by the way, that's an ongoing thing, because does the economy change? Yeah, absolutely. Does technology change? Absolutely. Does consumer demand change? Incredibly, right? Amazon now getting into the real estate business. Zillow, it now has 78% of consumers using Zillow to search for homes. Like there is technology that is changing the industry. Are we a one-click society? Right? We want to be able to order things. We want to have things delivered to our door next day. That's sort of the consumer expectation now. And those who are going to thrive and do well in real estate have to continually adapt how they deliver their service to the consumer. Those that thrive are going to be the ones that deliver the most value to the consumer, period. One of the key things that you've got to know about yourself and about consumers is that we're all driven by 6 human needs. We're all driven by 6 human needs. 4 of them are musts. In other words, it's like the law of gravity. You might not be aware of gravity. You might disagree with gravity. Does it matter? Right. It still impacts us every day. Okay, first and foremost, human beings are driven by the need for certainty. We all are looking for a level of certainty in our lives, certainty about our income, certainty about our relations. Does everyone here have it in an intimate relationship? How many here are single? Cool, I'll pick on you later. Perfect. In our relationships, in our marriage, in our relationship with our significant other, we're all looking for a level of certainty that our spouse, that we actually have love in our relationship, right? You're getting into a career that is absolutely uncertain. And so your stress levels will be extraordinarily high. Consumers, when they're out to buy a house or they're selling a house, are they dealing with a huge level of uncertainty? Absolutely. So let me show you what the other needs are. Although we're all trying to achieve certainty in our lives, God, in her infinite wisdom, well, let me just ask you this. If we had absolute certainty, if our life showed up absolutely exactly how we intended it, how long would it be before we'd be bored out of our minds? Right? So in her infinite wisdom, God created us with a need for, and this is why real estate is so beautiful. Because what it takes to become extraordinarily successful at real estate, the side effects or the ripple effects are phenomenal. At real estate, you need to learn how to have exquisite communication. I'll give you a perfect example before I go into this other metaphor. I had an angry client, and my agent was flabbergasted. She's like, I don't understand. I brought them 6 offers. Here's what happened. Here's what she missed. She asked the client, when you in a perfect world, when would you like your home to sell? And their answer was, well, we want it to sell quickly. She said, okay. And so in her research, in her pricing recommendation, she priced the home to be competitive so that it would, like 40% of homes that are on the market, she priced it competitively so that it would sell quickly and receive multiple offers. In fact, it did. She received 6 offers that weekend, one of which was $25,000 above their asking price. They were pissed. What happened? She didn't define what quickly meant to them. Here's the irony. While I was coaching her, my wife walked we were in our training center in Spokane. My wife walked in and handed me a note that said, hey, I need you to order a lot of for sale signs. And it was perfect. I was working with Amber, and I was I was highlighting the fact that, well, what did quickly mean to them? Obviously, quickly to you meant this weekend. In my conversation later with the client, the only other home that they had sold was in California in 2010. Guess how long that home took to sell?
8 or 9 months.
It took 180 days. So in their mind, what I discovered from following up with what does quickly mean to you, in their mind, it was, 45 days, 60 days. So although we might be the most knowledgeable about the market, unless we unpack and uncover what does quickly mean to the client, even though we deliver, they're not happy. Why weren't they happy? They made all kinds of plans about moving and taking the next steps and moving forward 45 to 60 days from now. Now it was like, we need to bump that up to now. Very stressful, yes? So my wife walks in and hands me a note. It was like, you couldn't script this any better, because here I was sitting with poor Amber, who, by the way, wouldn't she be frustrated? She did, in her mind, everything absolutely right. And in fact, got offers that were $25,000 above asking price, and felt like she could probably negotiate, and her clients weren't happy. Imagine how frustrating. So, couldn't script it better. My wife walks in, hands me a note. I need you to order lots of signs. And turns around and walks back out. As you can imagine, we're both pretty busy. She turns around and walks back out. And I looked at Amber and said, watch this. For me, a lot of signs, 30. They're about $15 a pop, and we have to, we redo them quite a bit. If I order too many, then they sit around and they get damaged. If I order too few, then we continually have to be reordering, and our price point is different. But I thought, so I tell Amber, for me, a lot of signs is 30. Let's just see. So as my wife's walking out the door, I said, I call her Doll. I call her a lot of things, but Doll is amongst the better of them. Hey, Doll, how many is a lot? And she's like, if you get to know her, she moves very, very quickly. So she hesitates for a minute, look of total annoyance, and says, a lot, just order a lot. And I go, yeah, but I need to know what that means to you specifically. 100. And I looked at Amber and I said, wouldn't I experience the same thing you just experienced with your clients if I'd have gone ahead and ordered 30 and her expectation were 100? What happens when 30 signs get delivered to our office and she sees them? Oh my gosh, you only ordered, right? By the way, for those of you who are females and in a relationship with a man, your men are hardwired, we want to win with you. So my experience with her being disappointed about what I've just done, am I winning with her or not winning with her? Yeah, right? Because winning with your spouse satisfies some of these needs. It makes us which one? Winning with your spouse satisfies what? Significance, certainty, love and connection, maybe a little bit of growth, maybe a little bit of contribution, right? So what I have it's actually in our Seller Mastery course. In our Seller Mastery course, we actually have them go, the first part of the course, 8-week course, twice a week. First part is, look, we have to master relationships. Because here's the thing. It's one thing to take people out and buy homes. The expectations from buyers about going out and showing homes, first of all, the consumers have very low expectations, very little regard for real estate agents. We're somewhere around used car salesmen, attorneys, like that, right? So you want to win with buyers? Answer your phone. You want to win with buyers? When you set up the appointment to go show them a home, be there 10 minutes early, unlock the place, and have several recommendations of other homes that you've already made appointments for that are similar to what they're looking at. They'll show up. You'll already be there. You'll know everything about that neighborhood. They'll think you're brilliant, in contrast to what the other experiences they've been having. By the way, the average consumer right now, all the way through and up until the closing process, is interacting with 4 agents simultaneously. So it's absolutely imperative, even with buyers, but even more so with sellers, you have to be able to quickly develop a really strong relationship and a high degree of trust right off the bat. And so in our training, which I can't do now, the training for this is literally 8 weeks, twice a week, 3 hours, right? But the first half of that training period is literally about how to build extraordinary relationships extraordinarily quickly and how to build a massive amount of trust. Because look, if your seller client is following your advice about pricing, about how to stage and present the home, about any repairs or updates that might be needed, if your seller is following your advice about actually leaving the home when there are to be showings, if they're following all your advice, is it likely that that transaction is going to go smoothly? Are they much more likely to be extraordinarily satisfied about how the transaction went? Absolutely. But in a lack of building that relationship, really truly understanding for them what does quickly mean, with a lack of building that trust, they're going to continue interacting with other agents, continue getting feedback from others in their sphere, and then the experience for you as the agent is a roller coaster. So we actually spend 80% of our time in the Seller Mastery course uncovering and unpacking how to deliver on these 6 human needs. And so we'll ask them to go home in their first week, go home to your spouse, and ask them, with respect to certainty in our relationship, on a scale of 1 to 10, how certain do you feel about my love for you? And what are 2 or 3 specific things that I do or could do in our relationship that would make you feel absolutely certainty about our relationship, about my love? Right? For most people, for most of my agents, I've done this with hundreds of agents now, most people exist in a relationship where they themselves rank the average amongst those characteristics a 6 or a 7. In a relationship, if you're at a 2 or a 3, you're roommates. In an intimate relationship, if you're at a 4 to a 6, 4 to a 7, you're friends. You don't really exist in that, they have a phase for early on in a marriage. It's called the honeymoon phase, right? What happens?
You're still in love.
Well, what happens is it ends up fading, right?
Yes.
Early on, your spouse asks you to take out the trash, and you're hopping and skipping, right? Fast forward about 5 or 6 years. What am I, your assistant? Right? What happens? We lose that initial passion in a relationship, and a lot of it is a law of familiarity, but a lot of it comes from not really understanding what our human needs are and how to deliver them. So our agents will actually go home and have this conversation with their spouses. Now, it happens every time I do a new class, every single time, without question, some female will raise her hand and say, is there a way we can send our husband in so our husbands can learn this? And I say no. Here's why. In my last class, I asked who actually was on the screen. I said really quickly, and I know both her and her spouse, I said really quickly, give me 3 things that does right now that makes you feel absolutely like your relationship is the most significant thing for him. 3 things right now. What does he do? Okay, you don't know that one. Great. What are 3 things he does right now that makes you feel like your relationship is alive and growing and expanding? 3 things right now. What does he do? I said, well, there you go. If you don't know what it is for you, how can I teach your husband? You're going to teach your husband. You're going to teach your husband by understanding for yourself what are positive things that give you the experience of feeling significant. What I told the listener is, look, you won't have to change your husband, because if you can deliver at a high level just 4 of those 6 human needs, that man will walk across fire for you, because it becomes an addiction. So the reason that we teach this, and we teach this amongst our agents and how to develop that within their relationships, is because if you can deliver this, if you can learn to understand your clientele and their individual and specific needs, and learn how to tailor your messaging, your communication, your delivery to their needs, they'll become addicted to you. The reason that people become addicted to drugs is that it gives them 3 of the 6 human needs. Not in a positive way, but in a superficial way, it delivers on many of their human needs. By the way, it's why people overeat, because it delivers. Now, not in a positive way. It's why people are addicted. In fact, the greatest addiction in the United States is not to drugs. It's not to alcohol. It's to problems. It's to drama. It's to stress. It becomes an addiction. Think about it. If you're consumed by stress, have you known people in your life that they seem to go from one dramatic experience to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next? What seems to be the common denominator? So I would highly recommend that you start writing this down and start looking for within yourself, like, what are some ways that I can deliver for myself on those needs that's a really positive way. And so in your career, you're going to want to, if you can master this, like I said, success is 80% mindset, 80% like how you go about doing things, and 20% mechanics. The mechanics, there's literally thousands of examples and material out there for you to follow and adapt to learn the mechanics of real estate. It's the mindset that's absolutely crucial. My passion is I love seeing people get into real estate, learn the skill sets that it takes, grow their career. I love spouses. We take our top agents to a 5-star resort in Mexico once a year. I love it when their spouses come to me and go, like, literally the juice for me, that number 6 contribution, literally what drives me is a spouse coming to me and saying, the best thing that's ever happened in our marriage? My spouse coming to work for you guys. And I get that a lot. We've had had our downtown brokerage in Spokane for 5 years. I get that a lot now, and it never gets old. I can't tell you what my best month was financially or what my biggest transaction was. I don't really focus on that. My juice is when the spouses come to me and go, oh my God, right? Whatever you're teaching my husband, would you teach him more? So